Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Seminary. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. I am sure majority of you may have heard about Donald Trump's health, right? And now, mind you, I hope you know that people already saw that, concealed vein before they started. There was rumor already because my friend sent that video to me before the news broke, and his swollen face too. People sent that video to me before later in the day yesterday. Pambondi took to the air to to tell people about his health and all that. And some people will be asking, what was he diagnosed of? His chronic venous insufficiency. It's vein disease, right? And why were they why were they concealing it? Because whoever that did that concealing is just so terrible at covering up. You can't make that thing up. It was so horrible, not well done, right? And I am also going to say this: why are they concealing the fact that he is sick? If he were sick or ill or something, that it's something that people could know. Also, there is nothing bad with somebody being ill, but you all already know the story surrounding everything around him. He didn't want that to, but he wanted to persecute Joe Biden for not telling the White House when he was ill. That is to tell you how people behave. Something I want to tell you is that this man is this wicked being sick. What would have happened if he were not sick? Let's get into this video.
That many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy.
Hi, my name is Dr. Rubin. I'm not here to speculate about the president's health, but to help educate you about chronic venous insufficiency, which is not generally considered a benign disease. It does increase the risk of developing various complications because over time, the veins in your leg, which are responsible for bringing blood back to your heart, can become leaky as the valves have degenerative changes. So blood ends up pooling in the legs, which can cause edema or swelling and discoloration, as well as potentially ulcers if left untreated. And in some cases could increase the risk of developing blood clots, often in the form of deep vein thromboses. And sometimes these blood clots can travel to the lungs and lead to a life-threatening condition known as pulmonary embolism. So usually conservative management is employed in these cases, such as compression stockings, various exercises, elevating your legs, trying to make sure that mobility is present, weight management, sometimes medications are used, as well as surgical interventions. So this is something that people are going to obviously be asking a lot of questions about. I'm on social media. I try to educate people about what's going on in the world around us to try to give you a little bit more clinical context. So if you find this helpful, please share this widely.
Donald Trump has confirmed that he's been diagnosed with a vein disease. President Trump has been diagnosed with a benign and common vein condition known as chronic venous insufficiency after he noticed swelling in his legs, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt announced on Thursday. According to Johns Hopkins and the Cleveland Clinic, chronic venous insufficiency occurs when the veins in the leg struggle to allow blood to flow back to the heart. Levitt said the president underwent a thorough health examination after he noticed mild swelling in his legs, and the examination revealed no evidence of more serious conditions like deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Levitt said the president's physician says he remains in overall excellent health. Is this the totality of what's going on with the president? We noticed that his legs were super swollen at the FIFA Club World Cup, but he's an old man. He's 80 years old, and I think that the pressures of the job may be weighing on him.
Wow, the pressure is getting worse.
We have breaking news right now. Donald Trump has officially been diagnosed with a chronic venous insufficiency, according to the press secretary, Caroline Levitt. Now, this is a condition where essentially veins have trouble sending blood from the legs back to the heart. It could eventually lead to blood pooling in the legs, causing serious complications. Caroline Levitt also said that Donald Trump's hand, which has had significant bruising, is from taking a lot of aspirin and from a lot of handshakes. Now, ultimately, the president is fine, according to the press secretary. He just has that condition, and he has bruising on his hands from the handshakes. But it is notable nonetheless because Donald Trump has in the past released numerous reports from the White House doctor and other personal doctors saying he has had no issues, and this is the first time we're hearing about this chronic vein issue that he has. Whether or not he had it before, when he had it. I'll provide you more updates as we get more information. As always, spread the word. I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack, linked in bio, so subscribe for free and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
So everybody is talking about this. Donald Trump's hand, and clearly his hand has makeup on it, makeup that doesn't match the rest of his hand. And they're talking about that bump, and they're speculating on what could be wrong health-wise with Donald Trump. They're talking about this, and they're talking about Donald Trump's cankles and speculating on what could be wrong with Donald Trump medically. I don't understand why nobody's talking about this right here, that little, see it right there? Ugh. Anywho, the man is 80 years old. 80 years plus maybe at this point. He's an old man. I expect for him to be dealing with some medical issues, right? But while they're talking about this, I'm looking at this.
So those three buckets are where we're going, and President Trump is leading the charge on that, and we're very excited. $16 trillion in investment dollars coming into America. So
He's sleeping. He's representing the United States at whatever meeting this is, and he's sleeping. He's sleeping. He's sleeping. And then he goes on to open his mouth, and he says this.
And I have to brag just for a second, because when I first heard about AI, it's not my thing. Although my uncle was at MIT, one of the great professors, 51 years, whatever, he was the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, 3 degrees in nuclear, chemical, and math. That's a smart man. Kaczynski was one of his students. Do you know who Kaczynski was? There's very little difference between a madman and a genius. But Kaczynski, I said, what kind of a student was he, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump? He said, what kind of a student? And he said, seriously good. He said he'd go around correcting everybody, but it didn't work out too well for him. Didn't work out too well, but it's interesting in life. But I will say this, that...
Now, both videos are viral. And the sleepy time video, I can understand why that's viral. I didn't understand why the second video was viral with him talking about his uncle. He's talked about his uncle being at MIT before. Side note, I want to say his uncle may have been smart, but that didn't pass down to Donald Trump. And so the other part of that story that he's telling is about Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski is the Unabomber, right? And so I'm like, well, why what's going on? So I go on over to Alfred and I put into Alfred, why is the video about Donald Trump talking about his uncle at MIT and telling a story about Ted Kaczynski? Why is this viral? And so Alfred comes back and says, it's viral because it's not true. And so, Alfred breaks it down. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, did not go to MIT where Donald Trump's uncle taught. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, went to Harvard. He enrolled at the age of 16 in 1958. He graduated in 1962. I know you're saying, well, Tabitha, he could have went on for another type of degree. You're right. And Alfred said he also went to the University of Michigan and completed a master's degree program from 1964 to 1967. He did not attend MIT. And Donald Trump is sitting up there lying, saying that Ted Kaczynski was a student of his uncle at MIT. Telling a whole fabricated, exaggerated lie. Donald Trump's uncle joined MIT as faculty in 1936. He retired in 1973. Donald Trump is sitting up on that stage, bold-faced lying. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, everybody, I'm not saying that the cankles and whatever's going on with the hand, whatever he's going through to cause that, I'm not saying that that's not important. But what I am saying is that him falling asleep and telling this lie, that's also important. And you combine all of that. I want to know why I don't hear Jake Tapper talking about Donald Trump's incompetence. I want to know why I don't hear Jake Tapper talking about Donald Trump facing dementia. I want to know why I don't hear the Young Turks talking about this. They dragged Joe Biden for his health, but they ain't got nothing to say about Donald Trump. MAGA nuts, you ain't got nothing to say. You're not concerned that something is happening with your MAGA nut king? You're not concerned? You talked about Joe Biden's health. You ain't got nothing to say about this. Well, we do. Somebody need to ask some questions. The Trump administration or the Trump regime needs to come clean with what's truly going on with Donald Trump.
All right, so some breaking news. The White House just announced President Trump's latest health news. So recent photos have shown Trump with swollen ankles and bruised hands, which got people talking online about his health status. Today, the White House confirmed that Trump was examined and diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency. This is basically when leg veins struggle to pump blood back to your heart. Well, before you worry, this condition affects about 1 in 20 adults, especially people over 50. It's pretty common and treatable with compression therapy, exercise, and elevation. So Press Secretary Carolina Leavitt said, quote, "The president remains in excellent health and there's no evidence of blood clots or arterial disease. The bruising on his hand, well, they say it's just from frequent handshaking. And, well, that's your health update on President Donald Trump. What exactly do you think? Some still speculate about the timing of this news. They say, well, why are we getting to know this right now? Others say, well, a little empathy is necessary at this point in time. Well, what do you make of this news? Well, you can drop those comments, of course, and share your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like and follow.
This is all I got from this video. The truth is that, I saw that his hand, today is what, I don't even know what, I saw that hand. And I was like, what could be, because they concealed it poorly. I mean, poorly. But I was like, who am I? What do I know? And then yesterday night, or yesterday afternoon in the United States, the Pembondi came out with the news. And I was like, and my friend also sent that to me before they made the news. So people already saw that. They started speculating that this man is not healthy, right? Before they came out to announce that. But all this while, they've been hiding it. They have been hiding it. I remember how they were making so much. Oh, even he made a statement the other time that Joe Biden should be persecuted for not telling White House that he was ill or something like that. Yeah. So wait, and is anybody actually waiting for Mr. Orange Man to ever speak the truth, especially in some certain things? Not at all. I am not. Like, there is something that I have learned. If that man opens his mouth, just forget about it. Something is just going to come out of it. It's either you take or leave, whichever one that you want. But never ever believe anything he says. And while I was reading through, like, people were like, oh my God, like when the news broke about his, about the vein and all that, people were like, oh, not more like the beautiful Bill obituary and all that. And some people were like, oh, did he get a date for his, the last day? People could just really be very... At this point, sincerely speaking, everybody's already fed up with what is going on in the United States. But now I am going to ask you something. So this man knew that he is not so healthy, like, or maybe he is sick. Let's assume, like, he is sick. And he's being this wicked because at this point, he is actually so wicked to people. So what if he is in good health? Or what if he is like 50 years thereabout? Trust me, there would have been problem, so much problem. The problem with them is that at young age, you will see some of them 30-something years, 40-something years, but the way they behave like old people, wicked old people. And then you find out that it is the wickedness in them that is making them age. Check majority of them that are in the office, that are quite, like, if you see their age, because someone that is like 45 years, it's so young. For me, I feel like you are so young. Why am I saying 40-something? 40-something is very young. Let's even 50 is very young too. But let me start like 55. Let me just start from 55. Someone at 50 years, 55 years should also be young. Like, really pretty young, very young, right? But you are seeing them so old, like someone at, like, late 60s or 70 years. I mean, it is all shade of wickedness that made them that old. I will draw the curtain here. Bye for now.